evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another round of the MotorMotion E-Series Player 1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship. And we are going to round 8 today at Suzuka. So we've traveled all the way across the world, from previously being in the Americas, now to being in the wonderful, beautiful, amazing land that is Japan. And we have had a very, very warm welcome here to the amazing and legendary track of Suzuka. And I have to admit, this is one of my favorite tracks of all time. We've got Formula 1 here, we've got GT3 here, we've got GT500, and a number of other different kinds of motorsport at this track. And now the MotorMotion E-Series comes here as well for the GT3 Championship, and it is the third to last round in the season today, round 8. It's going to be absolutely mega. The drivers have all lined up on the pit lane, and we're going to be getting ready at what is a beautiful, beautiful, stunning day at the Japanese location. And like I said, this is going to be an exciting, exciting race today. So make sure you stay tuned for all the action. We will be bringing you all of the race information, getting you up to speed with where things are at in the championship as we do start to enter the penultimate stage of the inaugural GT3 Championship, sponsored by Player1 Sim Gear. So, what are we going to expect today? It's going to be quite the arms out session, I suspect, because there are lots of tight turns, few places to overtake at Suzuka. The teams will be running on the mandatory medium tires. We'll go into the race information later in the day, but it's a 5.808 kilometer track, 17 turns. Afternoon it is today, and like I said, beautiful and sunny on track. The Suzuka, at the best of times, is slippery, but with the hot weather and the hot track, I think we'll be seeing plenty of grip out there for these GT3 cars. And Daytona last week, it was a nice sunny day as well, so we've been blessed here at the MotorMotion E-Series with plenty of great weather, and that is going to set us up nicely for what is going to be an excellent showdown here at the Japanese circuit. So get ready, because we are going to be going into qualifying in about 20-ish minutes. Of course, we'll be taking you through all the race information before then, but 8:10 p.m. AEST is when we're going to start qualifying for 20 minutes, and then you'll be here for a beautiful 60-minute race with the GT3 cars. So we're going to be getting ready pretty soon, but like I said, need to take you run you through some information before we get started. And we've got some interesting announcements to make as well about the prizes for the championship, and we'll be talking about that momentarily. But yes, like I said, I'm super excited for this one. And yeah, it's going to be great because we got a big heat up happening in the team's title, as well as in the AM and Pro-Am classes, which you are watching today. So stay tuned. We will be back in a second with some information for you. So it is, as I said, round 8, and welcome in. My name is George Cooke. I am in the commentary box today, bringing you all the live action for the Group B classes. That is the Pro-Am and AM Championships. And we're here for 20 minutes of qualifying and a 60-minute race. Remember, of course, hashtag be the best that you can at all times. That is our slogan here at the MotorMotion E-Series, and the commentary box is just me again today. Maybe we'll change that up for next season. We'll see. It does get a little bit lonely here, but you know, a good commentator is quite at peace with the own sound of his own voice. So I'm quite at peace here doing what I do, I feel like, reasonably well. But nonetheless, we're looking over here at the full race situation. 60 minutes race. Medium tires are mandatory at the full international Suzuka racing course. And like I said, you are watching the Group E broadcast, and I am George Cooke. So you can find me on socials, on Twitch, and the Discord, of course. Crazy Good Kung Fu is my alter ego, sometimes known as Crazy Bad Kung Fu when I drive badly. But nonetheless, my name is George, and I'll be bringing you all the live action today for this fantastic round 8. Of course, a shout out for our Group A lobby, hosting the Elite and Pro Championships. They're also doing a 60-minute race over there on YouTube with Nick Pautasso and Joel Austin, two legendary commentators. Joel making a return because Ryan, unfortunately, is not able to make it to the commentary box today. He is going to be taken over from Joel's seat for the rest of the season, but not able to make it today. So Joel has kindly stepped back in and taken up the reins once again. So you can find them over on the other side of the YouTube channel. Of course, you are watching the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel right now, the free broadcast. So do like and subscribe if you do enjoy tonight's commentary and racing. So the MotorMotion E-Series course, a premier sim racing league hosted mainly from Australia, but open to both Australia and New Zealand, mostly organized on Facebook, with a little dabbling in Discord occasionally. But nonetheless, please go check us out on www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. We post regularly there with updates, things happening with the teams, analysis, and all sorts of information about the series that we run. We run 3 series, TCR Cup, Track Racer TCR Cup, I should say, the Player1 SimGear GT3 Championship, which you're watching right now, and of course the Surefire Supercar Series, which should be restarting in about 6 weeks or so when we get the new season underway. So, over to the team standings, and this is combined between Group A and Group B, and in lead place at the moment, Scarborough Motorsport, the New South Wales team, led by Dylan Scarborough on 403 points. Their Porsche 911 RSR was absolutely mighty in the previous couple of rounds, getting some really fantastic results for himself. And of course, Matthew Joinson and Dylan Scarborough representing the Pro-Am and Am categories respectively. In second place, it is Gridline Racing, who had a masterclass show-off at Watkins Glen and also at Daytona last week, where they narrowly missed out on getting a second and third place, which would have really added to their tally and put them right up there in first spot. Sadly, it was taken away from them by none other than Matt Kutcher of Black Rose Racing, who put himself up into second position. Very, very good job from him there. So the Tasmanian team in second place, only 31 points behind Scarborough Motorsport at the moment. So they'll be looking to get a good few results in the last 3 races of this season. See if they can snag that victory, because they are the contenders right now. But Scarborough Motorsport all the way at this stage. In third position, it is Diffusion Race Engineering. A very proud moment for me, because they are our only Kiwi team in the GT3 Championship on 340.5 points. They've had a few roster changes throughout the season in terms of reserve drivers being pulled in. So half points for a lot of those results with those drivers, sadly for them. But nonetheless, that puts them in a very good position. Third place overall with Aidan Sampson and Richard Robinson, who are driving both today. Then in fourth spot is Black Rose Racing on 309 points. Good job by the South Australian team to keep themselves in the championship. They were originally leading earlier on in the season, but have fallen back to fourth position lately due to a string of not ideal results. And yeah, below them though. And a wee way off is NED Racing of Queensland. They are doing well with Monica Camilleri and Karma Foster. And we'll talk a little bit more about Karma Foster shortly. She's not able to make this race, unfortunately, here. But then in sixth position, it is WTCR World Touring Championship Racing, the South Australian team. They're on 252.5 points. And then last but not least, it is Strike Racetech. And Strike Racetech, we've got a bit of news about Strike Racetech, actually, which we'll go into reasonably soon. But actually, we might as well mention it now. Scarborough Motorsport have actually acquired Strike Racetech, the team. So an acquisition happening. Unfortunately, Strike Racetech not deciding to continue with the team. So they've decided to sell the team on at the last minute, just before the deadline kicked in for registrations. And Scarborough Motorsport will be absorbing all of the team assets and drivers into the Scarborough Motorsport ecosystem. So we wish all the Strike Racetech drivers and owners good and best of luck going forward in their future endeavors. So today you're watching the Silver Championship and the Bronze Championship, Pro-Am and Am respectively. So those are the colors. Keep an eye out for them and the names with the respective classes in this round. Daytona was an absolute fireworks display of incredible strategy, teamwork, and individual prowess, as we saw Dean van der Zandt, our current Drivers' Championship leader in the Pro-Am class, race away with a race victory. Very dominant performance by him. But then Matt Kutcher, our driver of the day, he came out of the woodwork with an impeccable strategy, a no-fuel stop at the end, which managed to keep himself in front of both of the Gridline Racing chaps who had some incredible team strategy going on. They nearly bagged a second and third position for themselves, which would have been an incredibly good result. But for Wade Rushton, that was his first victory in the Am class and third overall in the race, which is a very impressive drive for an Am class driver. 28 points for him and Gridline Racing. He's going to be absolutely stoked with that still. So on the back of a great performance, the Gridline Racing chaps have it all to do to bring themselves and their team back into the championship. Of course, Dylan Scarborough, second in our AM class finisher, 5th overall for Scarborough Motorsport, and the team owner, 20 points for him. As you can see, both of those AM class drivers finishing miles above some of the Pro-Am drivers, and that's why they've bagged themselves such a large kitty of points for that race. So well done to them. And of course, the rest of the grid, as you saw there, some standout performances from Ricky Rick and Chris White as well. Chris Wright taking 3rd in the overall championship, and Jeff Bruin as well, 3rd in the Pro-Am class. So the standings at the moment for the Silver and Bronze Championships, Dean van der Zandt out to a commanding lead for WTCR on 118 points total, with Jeff Bruin in 679 points. So lagging a little bit behind is 2nd and 3rd spot, but Jeff has taken the 2nd position there, away from Matthew Joynson, who held it for the majority of the season. Was originally Sean Parker, but he's unfortunately missed a few races and moved a little bit further down the drivers' standings over there in 6th position. Equal on points to Monica Camilleri in 5th spot. So Matthew Joynson dropping to 3rd position in the standings. He's going to need a good result. Daytona was a disaster for him last time out. He spun numerous times, crashed into walls, and everything else that you could possibly imagine that went wrong. Car issues and tire issues, all sorts of stuff. So he wasn't able to get as good a finish as he deserved that time out. But 75 points for him. He'll be on a charge for the next 3 races in this championship. So watch out. Keep a close eye on him, because it is all going to be happening. In the AM class, Wade Rushton now out to not a commanding, but certainly a dominating position at the moment. 128 points all over for the Gridline Racing driver. He's followed by Dylan Scarborough of Scarborough Motorsport. These two have been attached by the hip quite literally throughout the whole season, with great results on both sides of the park. Scarborough Motorsport, of course, leading the team's title at the moment. So Dylan will be keen for him and Matthew to continue their run of great performances throughout the last 3 races of the season. Troy Britnell for Black Rose Racing takes 3rd position in the Bronze Championship on 82 points. Very good round for him last time out, and he'll be looking, like I said, to continue his run of good successes here. He'll be taking a podium in the Bronze Championship at the end of the season if he keeps up this run of performance. So here's our entry list for today. We will go through this rather quickly, and we'll talk about Karma Foster at the end as well, because she is unable to make it today to this fantastic race. So very unfortunate to not have her here today. But in the 132 car, it is Dean van der Zandt, our championship leader, WTCR, racing for WTCR, and then his co-pilot, or not co-pilot, his co-driver, 73 car, Chris White, both of those guys in the Jaguar F-Type GT3 car. Then we've got in the 18 car, Jeff Bruin for Gridline Racing, the BMW M6 GT3, sponsored by Valvoline, very good looking car, and then his teammate, 88 car of Wade Rushton. The 21 car of Aiden Sampson for Diffusion Race Engineering, sponsored by Spotify. Looking very strong at the moment, and the BMW M6 GT3 car as well. And then his teammate in the 20 car, it is Richard Robertson. In the 28 car, it is Ricky Rick for Strike Race Tech, recently acquired now by Scarborough Motorsport. And he'll be driving with his teammate Tim Pears for Strike Race Tech in the Mercedes-AMG GT3. In the 426 car, it is Matt Kutcher for Black Rose Racing, also in the Mercedes-AMG. And his teammate in the 55 car is Troy Britnell. The 777 car of Matthew Joynson for Scarborough Motorsport, and his teammate, the team owner, Dylan Scarborough of Scarborough Motorsport in the Porsche 911 RSR GT3. And then in the 502 car, it is Monica Camilleri for NED Racing in the Aston Martin V12 GT3, and her teammate, Karma Foster, in the 666 car. Unfortunately, Karma not able to make it today, so the 666 car today will instead be driven by Mark Scarborough. I have yet to be able to confirm if there's any relation between Mark and Dylan. We'll find out, but nonetheless, I'm sure he'll be a fantastic addition to the NED Racing roster today. Looking forward to seeing if we see some good performances in the AM class from the 666 car. Our privateer, Sean Parker, with the... usually he's in the Mercedes AMG, so I think he'll be in that car today as well, in the 83 car. He's not driving for a team this season, but he's done incredibly well so far. And of course, myself, George Cooke, in the commentary box today. The weather at Suzuka looking good. 30 degrees Celsius, 17 kilometers an hour wind gusts up to 39 kilometers an hour. A little bit of humidity, so that's not going to help with the traction on the course. but 0% of precipitation. There's no rain at all on the horizon. A few clouds here and there, and the visibility is looking good. So S08 is our preset weather condition for today. Humid, sunny, and cloudy. The mandatory tyre today is the mediums, so there's going to be some interesting strategy to talk about soon and how they're going to manage a medium tyre stint with 60 minutes here at a very slippery Suzuka track. We are nearly ready to go for qualifying. Qualifying will begin in about 6 minutes, so we're going to start talking about a few other things in the meantime. And for that, we're going to jump over to a last screen of the day. And that is a very important screen, and that is the prizes. So the prizes have been announced for all the drivers. And this is going to be, I tell you, very, very exciting for all the teams out there. They've got racing gloves, mechanics racing gloves on the cards here today. Prizes obviously supplied by our sponsor, that's Player1 Sim Gear. Check them out, p1simgear.com.au, and we'll be talking about them more momentarily. In fact, we're going to jump into an advert for them in just a second. But an awesome prize for the winners of each of the championships. So that's the Elite, Pro-Am and Am categories respectively. So 4 sets of gloves up for grabs. Very exciting for all the participants. So without further ado, here's a small advert for our sponsors of the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Championship, Player1 Sim Gear.
Level up your sim racing experience with Player1 Sim Gear. Shop the biggest brands and the best range today. Player1 Sim Gear, official sponsors of MotorMotion E-Series.
So we will be getting started pretty soon here, folks, but p1simgear.com.au, go and check them out. They are created by sim enthusiasts for sim enthusiasts. They're Melbourne-based and 100% Australia-owned and operated. And when they launched, they set out to create an online destination for racers and flight simmers alike to get all the best hardware at the best prices. They're always keen for feedback, so if you have any, do let them know. And they're passionate about giving back and supporting the local communities that make this hobby so rewarding for all of us. So make sure you check them out on www.p1simgear.com.au. So we've got quite a bit to talk about. There's some special liveries on the grid today from the Gridline Racing chaps. But this circuit is an absolutely legendary one. Suzuka, of course, a favorite for those who are Formula One fans. The Japanese Formula One fans are absolutely insane, and we all absolutely love them for it. But this track here is very, very tricky. It's a complicated technical circuit. We've got ups and downs, high-speed corners, low-speed corners, corners with late apexes, with early apexes. Some trouble zones are going to be the Degner corners, the Dunlop curve, and Spoon. Not to mention the first corner as well, which can be very tricky. And if you get it wrong, you are going to be flying off track and not having a good time. The runoffs here, very much grass and gravel. There's literally no space for you to run off at all. If you do run off, you will be losing quite a lot of time, unfortunately. So, like I said earlier, 17 laps at this amazing track. The Honda test track, in fact, it was back in 1962 when it was designed by John Hugenholtz. And it's one of the few real-world circuits in the world to have a figure of the 8 layout, as you can see there. We do have a figure of the 8. Well, a figure of 8. Well, we can show you that as we go through the race. But it's interesting because there's a bit of an overpass as well. So it's a fascinating circuit, incredibly well designed. And of course, Formula One here has been here for a long time as well. It's claimed the lives of 17 drivers in its 48-year history. So hopefully we're not seeing any accidents today. These modern GT3 cars are incredibly safe. So, but you know, you've got to really take it easy because this is a tire killer area. It's a very, very technical track, so the championship drivers here are going to have to be taking it very easy, especially into that turn 1 as they do get started. And we do have a rolling start procedure here, so that does make it a little bit easier into turn 1, but it can still create some antics, I can tell you that. So other drivers who have failed to finish the Japanese Grand Prix at the circuit include Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher. And unfortunately, this is the area that Jules Bianchi unfortunately took as hit. So it's a mixed track with mixed emotions. We love it a lot, but we've also had some serious tragedy at this track. And of course, rest in peace, Jules Bianchi. So we also host here some of the FIM Endurance Suzuka 8 Hours and the Super GT's Suzuka 1,000 kilometers an hour, and it's had a whole bunch of changes throughout its history. Most significant change took place in 1983, where what is now Casio Triangle was reduced. So the chicane there was actually inserted in Casio Triangle to reduce speeds there because it was just too dangerous. And then in 2003, we saw the iconic 130R corner redesigned after 2 incidents, and now turned it into a double apex 85R and 340R complex. So again, more renovations in 2007 and 2009 to improve the facilities and make the track safer, because that is the tricky thing here. While it is a fantastic track, it's a driver's track. It is actually a very, very dangerous place to be driving, and the speed at which you take some of these corners, especially notably 130R and into the first corner, very tricky to get right. And like I said, if you get it wrong, you are going to find yourself rapidly approaching a gravel pit or a barrier, and that can cause some serious, serious damage to the cars. Now, qualifying is about to begin, so we'll quickly mention a few other things before we get started, but 20 minutes of qualifying coming right up. So do stay tuned, because we've got 20 minutes, like I said, of amazing qualifying to go, and we'll be taking you live on track as soon as we get started with that. So, for this round, Gridline Racing have decided to go and grab a special livery as well. So, they'll be taking the opportunity to use a retro livery that relates to the circuit. It's a replica of a livery that was used in the 1979 Suzuka 500 mile by a BMW M1 Pro car. So, that Pro car was designed for a one-make series that pitted drivers from different categories against each other in what is regarded to this day as the best single-make series ever run. So that's the M1, the BMW M1 series, and I remember it well. It was absolutely amazing. But with minimal testing, practice, and setup, the cars and its drivers are absolutely dominated on the day, finishing 4th overall. And that's why the Gridline Racing chaps are going to be sporting a silver body with gold rims. And they're hoping to get a few tenths out of the new livery today. So we'll be making sure that we go and check out the Valvoline-sponsored Gridline Racing chaps with their brand new retro livery as a little blast from the past from the BMW M1 Pro car single-make series. It's going to be very exciting. And I think as well, the livery that's being used by Karma Foster's replacement, Mark Scarborough, is also going to be a bit of a unique one as well. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that as we... I think we're nearly ready to go to qualifying. I do see the cars starting to bustle around a little bit, so that's a positive sign that we're going to be getting started momentarily. Some more interesting things here as well. So there's a chassis 1077, which was built in the May of 1979 by F1 legend Ron Dennis and his UK-based race shop Project 4. So they later merged Project 4 with the McLaren F1 team, but still to this day use the P4 prefix in their car numbering. The chassis 1044 was assigned to an unknown team to keep it in the 1979 Pro Car Series, but unfortunately, lack of funding, they had to sell the car to Speedstar Wheels in Japan, and the car arrived only 4 days before the Suzuka 500 miles. It only cleared customs the day before, and with minimal practice and setup, it ran a faultless race here at Suzuka and finished 4th outright in a field of 50 cars and won its class. So some amazing history here at the beautiful Suzuka circuit. So lots of fun for us to enjoy. But for those of you who have raced here at Suzuka, gosh, it's a tricky, tricky track. It's non-stop for 5.8 kilometers. There's hardly any straight lines at this track at all. You are constantly on the gas, on the brakes, or turning around a corner. Do let us know in the grandstand. Of course, welcome to everyone in the grandstand today and chat. Feel free to post your pictures of the circuit. Feel free to send messages in chat, and we'll try and answer them as we go through the race today. So a couple of comments already coming in. RIP Dajiro Kato. Yes. I can't remember what series that Dajiro was racing in. Was that Formula 1? And 30, yes. Well, there's a few games that allow you to drive some of the old circuits, but not a lot, unfortunately. think Assetto Corsa is one of them. But today we're in GT7, which is an amazing platform in itself. MotorMotion E-Series, of course, deciding to stick with the GT7 platform that it knows well. Back in the GT Sport days, the Supercar series also running. And I think they also ran some TCR races as well back then as well. So there's a long history between the MotorMotion E-Series and the Gran Turismo games. And today, of course, we're in the GT7, so Gran Turismo 7, the latest iteration of the Gran Turismo series. And it's, yeah, it's a pretty fantastic little series, this, I can tell you that. GT7, of course, one of the premier sim racing games out there on the market. There's occasionally some things that are left to the wayside. It could be a bit better, but nonetheless, it is one of the best games out there, certainly for inclusivity. So we're going to be jumping into qualifying hopefully very soon. All of the races are lined up on the grid and nearly ready to go. So like I said, we are almost there. So yeah, I think it's one of those things. Like I said, it's one of my favorite tracks to come to. I love driving this track. It's certainly is my favorite track in Japan to drive. And there we go. The qualifying has begun. So we are getting going. 5 minutes late, unfortunately, in the broadcast, but that shouldn't delay us too much this time round. So give me a moment and we will go to the grid. Just getting the broadcast studio all set up and we are good to go. So qualifying has begun. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys are capable, guys and girls I should say, are capable of today. We're expecting low 2 minutes and let's go over there now. Alrighty, so all the drivers going out on their out laps. They'll be wanting to use the racing soft tyres today, of course. It's been an interesting one, actually. I've been thinking about what strategies might be in order today. Obviously, the mandatory medium tyre is going to be very important to use that throughout the 60-minute race. We're not quite sure yet in the commentary box how long the tyres will go without graining. That's what I'm going to be keeping a little bit of an eye on here. Today, as we do stay on board with the 426 car of Matt Kutscher. Good result from him last time in second position. He's going to need to qualify well. But I'm guessing the Mercedes here will be quite strong. Lots of straights to use that big, powerful V8 engine that's under the hood. So for Black Rose Racing, they'll need a good result. Currently fourth in the championship and team's title, I should say. And they're going to need a strong result here. But all the qualifying here will be done on the racing soft tyres, and I'm expecting to see some low 2-minute runs at Suzuka today. We might even see a 1:59 if we're really, really lucky, everyone. We could see a 1:59, and oh, here we go, nice onboard here. Onboard shot of the retro livery that the Gridline Racing chaps have been running. Gosh, it is a really great livery. Look at that sort of matte grey. It's got the little gold outlines all the way through the car. Valvoline sponsors, of course, and this is the 88 car of Jeff Bruin. Look at that. What a beautiful, beautiful looking car that is. It's absolutely fantastic. So hats off to whoever at the Gridline Racing pit lane has decided to not only give that a go, but design the livery. Absolutely brilliant. Do let us know, of course, in the grandstand, who's your favorite livery of the day. I think mine already goes to the 18 car here. Sorry, the 18 car is Jeff Bruin. 88 car is his teammate, Wade Rushton, who will be going on board with at some point soon. But the first outlaps are being completed. We've got some people in the grandstand saying they prefer Fuji. Yeah, Fuji's a great track as well. It is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, for me personally here in the commentary box, Suzuka has always been my favorite. And for those of you who have raced with me, at this track, you'll know how quick I can be at this track. It's many, many hours of practicing these corners. I've been here recently in the ACC platform for the Octane Online Racing Series and got a very, very good result there that I was very happy with. So yeah, it's a great little place. We just see through the Dunlop curve they go out onto one of the first straights after the S's. Lovely little corner there if you can get it right. Into the Degner 1 corner, nicely handled there by the 20 car. Through into Degner 2. Degner 2, very tricky to get right because it's, oh, we do see a Jaguar off in the background. I think that might have been Dean van der Zandt in the background there. But Degner 1, Degner 2, very, very tricky corners. Degner 1 is a fast right-hander. You've got to slap on the brakes and then just immediately move it over, get off the brakes quickly so you can get the maximum grip from the tires and the aero. As soon as you get through there, you're immediately back on the brakes for Degner 2. And you've got to trail brake nicely into it, roll off the brakes calmly as the car will turn in. It doesn't feel like it's going to, never does at Degner 2, but it will turn in. Just got to make sure you don't run too wide onto the green strip. And then we're just going through Spoon at the moment. And up to the very, very famous 130R. So I'm going to be interested to see what the first banker laps are going to look like. I'm expecting to see most of the drivers here in the 201s. Bit of a wide entry line there from Richard Romerson. And 201.369 from Jeff, 201.301 from Mad Rick. And we're into the 2 minutes already with Matt Kutscher. So really good job there by the Black Rose Racing driver. Here's the Ned Whiskey sponsored Aston Martin. That's Monica Camilleri. Goes second position. That is a brilliant lap from her. It's a 201.2. Not quite in the 2 minutes there, and 0.4 behind Matt Kutscher. But looks like she's got some pace here in the Aston Martin. And we're going to be keeping a very close eye on how she goes today. Here across the line with some slightly slower times, making some mistakes on track. Like I said, very easy to. Oh, we've got a yellow flag up ahead as well. Who's that who's gone off? We are checking. Sorry for my Ferrari joke there, for anyone who's a Ferrari fan, although with the recent results at Le Mans, she's gone purple in Sector 1. Monica Camilleri is absolutely flying. We're going to stay on board with her for a little while here. Well, the top spot taken now by Matt Joyson, a 2 minute flat, 0.4. That's another fantastic lap, and we're only 5 minutes into qualifying, folks. So this is already fantastic. But purple again in Sector 2 goes Monica Camilleri. This is a fantastic lap. It's shaping up very nicely for her. Can she get the chicane right? Yeah, that was pretty good at the end of the day. She's got a rapid Matt Kutscher behind her now. So the Mercedes and the Astons looking fast, but the Porsches, man. Porsche 911 RSRs here, I tell you. I can tell you from personal experience, they are quick at this kind of circuit. They are absolutely rapid, especially in the hands of Matthew Joynson, who we know to be a very, very skilled driver. His shortfall at the moment, unfortunately, has been the strategy in the race, so he'll need to get that absolutely spot on in the race. Otherwise, he'll be hunted down by these Astons and these BMWs and Mercedes and all the other cars on the grid. So good line there through 130R. Not quite as brave as I thought that you need to be. You need to be really on the outside of that line to maximize your speed through 130R. But this is shaping up to be a good lap time here for Monica Camilleri. Let's see as she goes across the line. And it is a 2 minutes. She's into the 2 minutes, keeps her third position on the grid. And that is a fantastic time to get her started in this race. Spoon is one of the best corners around here, and through into the S's goes the 20 car. Diffusion Race Engineering, the BMW, not looking as quick this time round. And looks like Hellblazer, that's the teammate here of the Diffusion Race Engineering chap, the 21 car of Diffusion Race Engineering, and looking strong actually, stronger than I thought. A 2 minute 0.5. Already purple again, out through the S's, through Dunlop Curve we go, and wide. Oh, and around we go. Oh dear, Aiden Sampson, that is a bit of a disaster there. Letting the traffic go behind him. He'll have to find a good place to rejoin. It looks like a pretty decent track rejoin there from him. It's a bit of a shame there, and we do hear some screeching tires up ahead. Off goes Aiden Sampson again. And who's that above him? We've had another car go off. That looks like Dean van der Zandt. Yes, it is the 132 car of the Jaguar. Just not getting it right, the BMWs and the Jaguars. They are both FR cars, and they can be pretty tricky. They do have quite a lot of weight on them. So it's not easy for these guys at the moment. Pushing really, really hard to try and make up some time. They know how quick they can be. Matt set a fantastic time here. Sorry, Dean has set a fantastic time here of a 2 minute 0.364. So that is an excellent bit of work there from him. Great stuff. Wade Rushton for GLR has absolutely smashed the timing boards in the AM category. He's up to fourth position. Oh, bit of an awkward rejoin there. behind. Well avoided there by Aiden Sampson. I believe that's Matt Kutcher. Here's the Gridline Racing car of Wade Rushton, also sporting the beautiful, beautiful livery. Not quite sure who that's ahead of him. I think that is our reserve driver for NED Racing. Yes, sporting the very silver, and I mean very, very silver Aston Martin. He's driving the 666 car today for them. And, oh, doesn't want to let Wade have a move. Yep, they're battling it out on track, trying to get position there. The move from the 88 car was just completely closed down by Mark Scarborough. So nice work there to deny a little bit of a qualifying lap. Wanted to make sure he got a good time in. So the 70, he is actually running the 78 number, so I'm going to bear that in mind. Not running the 666 number of Karma Foster, who unfortunately cannot be here today. But I have to admit, turn 1, which I've just gone through now, is an absolutely spectacular corner. I just love everything about this track. I can't stop talking about it. You know what would be really bad for this commentary stream would be if there was McLarens here. If someone had, oh, and around, oh dear, at Degner 1 and Degner 2, that is Dylan Scarborough. He has gone for a bit of a spinneroonie there in the Porsche. He's going to have burnt up his tires. That's the one thing that Porsche does do. It's very even on its tire wear. But you'll find with the car, it does chew those tires up pretty quickly. Though I would say that the Porsche needs to give a bit of time just to cool down the tires. They're not going to have any kind of optimal level of grip there. So Dylan will just have to take a bit of a cooling down before he goes for another push lap. We've just crossed the 10-minute mark in this qualifying. So 10 minutes more to go. Yes, as some people are saying in the grandstand, we had $1 for every time we went off into the gravel at Degner 1 and 2. We'd be millionaires. Well, maybe not, but we'd have a couple of $100 in our pocket, that's for sure. So we're just going to quickly look through the grid as we are at half-time. Your sprint leader, qualifying leader at the moment, is none other than Matthew Jointson in the 777 car for Dylan Scarborough's Scarborough Motorsport. And looking very, very strong here today in the Porsche. Behind him, and he's 0.7 of a second behind as well. So hold on, do we have a 159? We do. So actually, Matthew Jointson, thank you for making my prediction / prophecy correct. The 159 is there for Matthew Jointson, so well done to him. Then we've got Dean van der Zandt in the F-Type Jag. Looking strong as well, but he's off the pace. He's not cracked the 159s just yet, but a very strong position. Third place is Aiden Sampson for Diffusion Race Engineering, the Spotify-sponsored BMW M6. At the helm is Aiden Sampson, like I said, very competitive, very good driver. 2:05 for him. Then we've got Chops, our privateer, so he's making a bit of a return, not only to the pits, but also to the championship. This could be a good result for him. The Mercedes are looking very, very strong. Then we got our first of our AM-class drivers. So the AM-class driver here of Wade Rushton, the 88 car. GLR, of course, sporting that beautiful, beautiful new livery. He's set a 2:07. That's a very competitive time for the AM category. As you can see, a Pro-Am driver behind him of Matt Kutch for Black Rose Racing, a 2:08, the best he's managed so far. He's had a couple of off-track excursions, but he's got plenty of time to set a good lap. The front tires, as always, with that Mercedes burning up quite quickly. Then, what we thought was going to be a very good situation for Monica has turned against her a little bit. She's managed a 2:09.73. But unfortunately, she hasn't not been able to put in any other decent time yet. But we're starting to get onto the low fuel runs here for the Aston Martins and the other cars. She's on fresh tires, and that is a better line through 130R for her. Slowly getting the confidence up as they get the cars warmed up, the tires into the zone. And of course, the track conditions will be changing slightly as well. As soon as you start putting, I was about to say butter down on track. No, rubber down on track. You'll find that the grip levels start to get really, really optimum. And with a good tire temp, you'll find yourselves with a mile more grip. And that is everything. Here, it is absolutely all about your grip and the aero. Oh, a little bit squiggly there into turn 1 is Monica. Then in 8th position at the moment for Strike Race Tech. Strike Racing, of course, being acquired recently by Scarborough Motorsport. Only 0.089 behind Super VT, that's Monica Camilleri. It is Mad Rick for Strike Race Tech. Then behind him, Jeff Bruin, who's picked up a penalty, and he's not cracked the 2-minute flats yet. So the Gridline Racing driver, actually currently a lot slower than his AM class teammate of Wade Rushton, who's up into 3rd position at the moment. Richard Robinson for AM class, the 20 car for Diffusion Race Engineering, 201.084, currently in 10th spot. And we've got Dylan Scarborough for Scarborough Motorsport at 201.242. Oh, we just saw some action there between a couple of drivers. Oh dear, yeah, that was... oh, we've got to go and try and find that if we can. Aiden Sampson looks like he got turned around in the S's there and had quite the collision. Looks like he's recovered though, so good on him for that. Then we've got Tim Piers for Strike Race Tech. He'll also be transferring over to the Scarborough Motorsport ecosystem after the GT3 Championship has ended. 201.4 for him, 12th position so far. Oh, that was actually Chris White who had the incident there at Degner. And yeah, he's looking for a good time to rejoin onto the track. Looks like he's got a chance here. He's going to wait for one more car to go past. Ahead of him is Troy Britnell in 13th position for Black Rose Racing. 14th position to Chris White. And then, in last but not least, it is our new reserve driver replacing Karma Foster today in the Aston Martin. And this is one of the most beautiful liveries I've seen. It's a great livery overall. Good job letting past some traffic there. He's a bit blue flagged at the moment. This and the Gridline Racing liveries, I think, are easily the best on the grid today. Although Gridline Racing, with that amazing retro livery, that is just something else. Absolutely amazing job by them and their teams to get that all sorted. So really, really good job there from them. It's going to be interesting as well to see exactly what the final time is going to be. It looks like Matthew Joinson has reduced his time now, 1:59.671. He's absolutely flying. And yes, we are lucky today. The race host today is Jeff Bruin, none other than Jeff Bruin, who also helps in the background. And certainly the stability of the lobby is absolutely excellent. We've got drivers from all around Australia and New Zealand. And when you've got a race host with a good connection, and everyone else has got good connections as well, you do see really good quality racing here in the GT7 online platform. Wow, that was a wide little excursion there for Mark Scarborough. He has got the car control absolutely sorted and manages to keep control out of turn 1. Good job there from the driver. And Sean Parker, he's nearly dropped into the 159s now, the privateer. Very close in the 83 car. He's in 2nd position by 0.24 of a second. Very, very good job from the privateer to put himself up. So he's back in the lead. Maybe he'll be challenging Dean van der Zaan. The early parts of the season was really a competition between Dean van der Zaan and Sean Parker. And sadly, we just saw the Jaguars tires just absolutely dominate. So the Mercedes just had no counterback for that, sadly. It's very hard on its front tires, is the Mercedes. The Jaguar seems to be good if you can maintain a good pace, if you're consistent with it. It's all kind to it, I should say. The Jaguar is kind in return. There's the parked car there. Not quite sure. That is the Porsche of Dylan Scarborough's Scarborough Motorsport. Obviously taking a little bit of an excursion off at Degner. Not ideal, certainly. And yeah, 3 minutes to go in this qualifying, and it is looking pretty sorted out in terms of the order. Dean van der Zaan still holding on to 3rd place, but behind him, Wade Rushton is only 0.066 of a second behind Dean van der Zaan. And Dean van der Zaan is our current Pro-Am Championship leader, with Wade Rushton, I think, screaming at the gate saying, hey, I should be a Pro-Am class driver for next season. And he probably will be if he keeps up this show of performance. Because he's at the moment leading the championship in AM class. And oh, there we go, a 1:59 is on the books now for Dean van der Zaan. He leapfrogs over Sean Parker. What a lap there from the WTCR driver. Fantastic work there at the Jaguar, which was at some point looking pretty slow on the grid, I've got to be honest with you. But now it certainly is making it a little bit of a comeback. There's only really time now for 1 or 2 more laps as we only have 2 minutes remaining in this session. And he's gone purple, has Dean van der Zandt. We're going to stay on board with Dean. Can he take pole position here at qualifying? So far, it's all going to Matthew Joynson in the Porsche 911 RSI, but he's only 0.074 above Dean van der Zandt's time. And if Dean can hold this run, he's already purple. Will he go purple again in the second sector? No, but it's still a personal best. 0.162 up. This could put him in the championship, the top spot here for pole position. And this is going to get really, really exciting here, folks. Chops behind him. I think he's also on a purple sector. So the top three all going to be battling it out for the top spot here. It's a critical place to start at Suzuka. As you run into turn one and through the S's, you can really solidify your lead here or get caught up in the rest of the field. It's going to be one of those two things, and that's going to be determined by whether or not you start on pole position today. So down towards, for the last time, I believe, for him, or it might be you might actually get one more lap in after this, Dean van der Zandt, but he's purple again in sector 3. 0.263 of a second up is Dean van der Zandt. He's looking on for a pole position here through the last chicane. He goes, keeps it tidy, or a little bit squiggly through the second part of the chicane, but he goes out on the throttle on, and Matthew Joynson, oh man, he's just extended his lead there by 0.4 of a second. Dean van der Zandt would have taken pole position, but Matthew Joynson says, no sir, you will not take pole position from me today, and puts in a 1:59.170. That is a stonkingly fast lap from the Scarborough Motorsport driver. Absolutely amazing, and I don't think Dean is going to have any answer to this. We'll keep an eye on the split as he does get onto his final lap here, but Matthew Joynson has all but sealed it. A good lap there from the co-owner, or the owner of Scarborough Motorsport. A 2-minute flat for Scarborough, and purple again goes Dean van der Zandt. Sector 1 seems to be the area as he passes Matthew Joynson on track, so Matt has decided to back out of his lap. He won't improve any further, but Dean van der Zandt, he's got to put on an absolute flyer, and he's down in the second sector. It's looking more and more unlikely for the WTCR driver. He might have to settle for second position here. Second fiddle, though. If you're not in the lead, then you are part of the losing crowd here, and qualifying, like I was saying earlier, absolutely matters. Being on pole position for the rolling start, and folks, stay tuned because the race start's going to be absolutely fantastic as well. Monica Camilleri up into fourth position there. Great job by her to put herself on the second row of the grid. A 2:03.57 there for her. Sean Parker has finished his run, but all eyes at the moment are still on Dean van der Zandt. Can he pull a rabbit out of his hat? We will see. I'm thinking it's pretty unlikely now. He's 0.8 of a second down on his lap. No, I think the dream is over. Dean van der Zandt will have to deal with second position on the grid. Still a very good starting position in the top 3 of 4 in the grid, which is where you want to be at Suzuka. So across the line he will come. And Monica gets pushed down by a massive lap from Wade Rushton, who comes across the line for a 2:0.256 to take fourth position away from Monica Camilleri and put himself up on the second row of the grid. What a job there from our driver there in the AM category. Absolutely brilliant work. Oh man, what a great qualifying we've just had here, folks. Absolutely stonking work from everyone on the grid. So massive, massive well done to all of them. Absolutely brilliant work. Just fantastic. So we won't jump back to the screen for the moment. Yes, we did have, unfortunately, have a little bit of a lobby reset there. Ooh, so we've had a race cancel here. That's unfortunate. We've had a little bit of an issue in terms of the race organization. So the qualifying results will need to be reset. We may be in for a little bit more of a break than we like here, folks, as the grid does need to get reset. And we will have a grid set by host to make sure that the qualifying results all count. Nonetheless, some fantastic strategy is going to be happening today, I think. We've got we've got a few interesting changes happening in the background in the lobby. Not ideal at all, but you know, it is what it is. But like I said, there's some very important things going to be taking place today in terms of the strategy. We haven't really got an idea of how the medium tire is going to perform today, unfortunately, and that's going to mean it's a little bit of a make a prediction, make a prophecy, see it completely fall in my face. I'm sure all the teams here have done their practice to make sure that they are absolutely ready to go. And yeah, like I said, we'll be getting going in about 5 or 10 minutes for the actual race. And until then, I think we're going to take a very short break. So we will be back momentarily, and we will catch you all very, very soon.
Level up your sim racing experience with Player1 Sim Gear. Shop the biggest brands and the best range today. Player1 Sim Gear, official sponsors of MotorMotion E-Series.
And we are back. And yeah, a few little things happening with our lobby, just trying to get everything sorted out and stable before we get started with today's race. And of course, you are watching the MotorMotion E-Series, Player1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship. And your commentator today is myself, solo in the commentary box, as always, for the beautiful, amazing Group B broadcast. And yeah, like I said, yeah, we're going to have a good race today. I think the strategy calls are going to be pretty critical at the end of the day. The medium tire is mandatory today, so I'm still trying to grok out exactly what this is going to look like in terms of a good strategy. I suspect that starting on the soft tires is probably going to be the right call, just to get yourself sort of settled in, and then you can switch to the mediums, maybe to run a much, much longer stint. But with 60 minutes, I suspect we will be seeing a pretty standard two-stop strategy. Of course, you want to maximize your time on the soft tires here, as they will give you the most amount of grip. Although being such a long circuit with such high tire degradation, we were seeing cars only making it 7 or 8 laps, which only equates to about 15 to 16 minutes on track time. So, you know, a soft tyre stint could only last a quarter of the race, which means you'll have to make the mediums last upwards of 30 minutes here. And of course, that's probably not going to be the main constraint. The main constraint is probably going to be your fuel usage. Might force you in a couple more times than you might like, sadly. And yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. So, you know, my prediction today for strategy, and if I was out there racing today, I'd be looking at starting on the soft tyre and then potentially going for a second soft tyre stint and then switching onto the mediums at the end. That's probably going to be the right idea, although another way of looking at this is going to be to use the medium tyre early on, try and stay out of the chaos, the inevitable chaos that will happen at Suzuka, and then try and get off those medium tyres as soon as possible, maybe trying to get maybe 20 minutes in at the most, and then switch on to the racing softs for a couple of stints. But you'd have to extend them a little bit, so yeah, we're just going to have to see exactly how long the tyres are going to last, and with all the different racing cars around here, we've got Aston Martins, we've got BMW M6s, we've got Mercedes AMG, we've got Porsches, we've got Jaguars, and all of them have very, very different tyre life, and with a mix of drivers from both Pro-Am and Am, it's going to make it a very, very interesting and tricky little situation. But, you know, as I've mentioned before, it is going to be one of those things. They're going to have to just manage that as it goes, because one small excursion here can be the end to your race very, very quickly. Damage, of course, when picked up. You need to repair that in the pit lane. And the pit lane here, you do lose a lot in the pit stop. The reason being that, of course, the straight here is, I think it's the longest, second only to that of Fuji Raceway. Fuji, of course, having the longest pit straight in the world. I believe the main pit straight is about 800 meters. So actually, it's not in the world, but certainly in Japan. It's the second longest pit straight in Japan, second only to Fuji. Fuji is one of the longest in the world, which allows cars to do some unbelievably high speeds at that track. Of course, my second favorite, Fuji, is my second favorite race course in Japan. But yes, like I said, the grid being set now. We've had a couple of things go on with our lobby that are just getting sorted out in the background. So thank you, everyone, for being patient. We should be getting started with the race in about 5 minutes. And we should be straight into it for what's going to be a fantastic 60 minutes of racing here for round 8. Of the MotorMotion E-Series. And yeah, this is the inaugural season. We've got 3 races to go in the GT3 Championship. And the Pro-Am category, currently led by Dean van der Zandt, who qualified second here today. So he's had a bit of a bad result last time out. At Watkins Glen, he had a pretty bad result. But at Daytona, he was able to come back into it. And he's secured his place in the top of that championship. But Matthew Joinson and Jeff will have something to say about that today, I suspect. Jeff Bruin, unfortunately, just not being able to put a lap together at all today. He's going to be starting down in 10th position on the grid. So his job at the moment is going to be run long, run consistent, don't crash, and don't get overtaken as well. Try and make your way up the grid slowly but surely and try and find yourself, hopefully, in a top 3 position to gain maximum points. But his teammate in the AM category, in the custom live read Gridline Racing cars today, is Wade Rushton. So a real standout today. We've got Matthew Joinson setting an amazingly fast time in the Porsche. And then in 4th position, we've got Wade Rushton, who has set a blistering time for AM category. His next AM category challenger is none other, of course, than Dylan Scarborough, but he's down in 9th position. So it shows you how impressive that lap time from Wade Rushton is. He's really got it all hooked up today. And a quick note on the wind direction. At the moment, looking like a nice little headwind into turn 1. It's going to make Degner corners very, very tricky, as it will be a tailwind. Tailwind into Degner, I can tell you, there's nothing like that. It's very, very scary, very dodgy with the car. But that does equate to a headwind for 130R. So it's, well, it's actually a tailwind for 130R. Oh, no, sorry, that is a headwind. In fact, sorry, my apologies. It is, in fact, a headwind for 130R. So that's going to give them about 1,000 times more grip through 130R than they would traditionally have. So here we go, folks. The race is about to begin. So let's go down onto the grid and get this started. So good luck to all the competitors, and we are about to go on track and get things started. Let's go. So on the top of the grid, it is going to be none other than Matthew Jointson. A rolling start procedure here, of course, and we will take a look at the tires as we go through the grid. Already noticing a couple of people starting on the medium tire. Very smart choice, I reckon. Get the medium tire done, get it out of the way, and then make your way back with some great runs on the soft. So the lights are going green, rolling start procedure is gone, and we are live here, green lights at Suzuka for round 8 of the MotorMotion E-Series Player 1 SimGear GT3 Championship. Let's see how they do, and into the first corner. It's a clean start so far for everyone. Dean van der Zandt staying ahead of Sean Parker. Everyone going through nice and cleanly, no action at the moment. Very, very good. It's always a bit tricky through the first set of the S's. And yeah, so far everyone keeping it tidy. That's what we expect. That's what we'd like to see. And frankly, there's really not a lot of opportunity to overtake. A little bit wide goes Wade Rushton. Monica Camilleri behind him looking to get that overtake done, although she's going to have to be a bit nervous about that going into the Degner corners. So Wade Rushton also opting for the medium tire. It's going to be interesting to see how long this tire is going to last today. And oh, there's been a mistake there from Matthew Jointson. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. He has lost the lead to Dean van der Zandt already. Now under pressure from Sean Parker. Can he make something happen? Looks like he made a mistake at Degner 2. Ran a bit deep, and that allowed Dean van der Zandt to drive straight on through. Very unfortunate there. We do have an instant replay of exactly what happened. So we will have a quick look as they go through Degner 1 here. And he's just gone wide at Degner 1. And oh, very good car control to keep it keep it off the gravel there. So good job there, actually, by Matthew Jointson. He nearly had a bit of a spinneroonie there. Aiden Sampson, bit of an action going down here, and Dylan Scarborough has been involved in more action there. This big battle pack going through into Spoon has just developed out of nowhere. And Jeff Bruin is up into 6th position. He's gained 4 off the start in lap 1. Through 130R they go for the first time. Behind him, it is Richard Robinson of Diffusion Race Engineering. And then Dylan Scarborough, who got a little bit racy, shoulders out with the Strike Race Tech guys. And oh no, Rick has gone very, very wide there. He's led his teammate and Chris White through. Now under pressure from Troy Britnell and our debutant, replacing Karma Foster there of Mark Scarborough. Oh wow, there's a lot of action happening around the grid now. A little bit of action now between Mad Rick and Troy Britnell. Who's going to break latest? It looks like Troy's going to have the inside line into turn 1. Excellent job there. And looks like Wade Rushton. Oh no, Wade has gone off. Wade has had an incident earlier in the lap, and unfortunately our cameras have not caught it, but he's dropped all the way down to the back of the field from right at the top. So an incident there between him and potentially another car. But he's got a long way to go. Long way to go in this race, of course. 57 minutes to go. And he's on the medium tire as well, so he'll be able to manage his strategy now. And hopefully, with the pace that he's showing today, he should be able to claw his way back up the grid. So it is Dean van der Zandt in first place, followed by Matthew Jointson, and followed by Sean Parker, your top 3 at the moment. I'm hearing we're about to get some onboards as well, because there is, as we said, some real action happening down the back of the grid at the moment. So onboard we do go with Monica Camilleri. So Monica, also another person to lose out. She qualified 5th, now down into 14th position. So she's fallen all the way down the grid. Right at the back there is Tim Piers. He's had a bad time at the start of this race. Strike Race Tech driver just getting a string of unfortunate, unlucky results. And Monica's going to have the run here through to 130R on the Strike Race Tech Mercedes. But you've got to be very brave and opportunistic to go at 130R side by side. What is she going to decide? Let's see. Oh, they go side by side. Was there a little bit of contact there? We don't know. But she might have made it stick. Oh, what a move there from Monica Camilleri through on Mad Rick into the final corner. All right, so down the bottom of the grid in 10th position now, it is Mark Scarborough on debut. He's doing very well, followed by Troy Britnell, followed by Wade Rushton. It's a big recovery drive, and into the pits on the medium tire comes Mad Rick. He's done with those medium tires. He wants to change immediately. He's been on the radio to his team. Get me off this damn hard tire, or this medium tire, I should say, and get me onto something faster that I prefer. Fair enough. So Aiden Sampson, followed by Matt Kutcher at the moment on the medium tire. I believe both of them are on the medium tire. We will double check for Matt Kutcher as well. Yeah, both on the medium tire. And behind them, the fight for 6th place going on between Richard Robinson and Dylan Scarborough. So currently, Richard Robinson, he's gone from 3rd or 4th in the AM category in terms of qualifying, all the way up to 1st position for AM class. So he's in a great position. If he wins this for the AM class, that's going to put him right back in the championship. Dylan Scarborough, he's going to be stoked that Wade Rushton has gone for an excursion off track. That puts him up into 2nd for AM category. But of course, ahead of them, we do have all the Pro-Am drivers. And not all of them, though. There's a few that have fallen all the way back to the end of the grid. So Suzuka, as always, mixes up the grid in the nicest and loveliest way possible in terms of commentary. It's been non-stop action for the first 3 laps here. And I'm sure we're in for a whole bunch more. And the run, Matt Kutcher's got a great exit, got a bunch of overspeed, and he will have the inside line into 130R. Can they keep it clean? Oh, they go side by side. Matt decides to back out. Didn't want any part of that. And good from Aiden Sampson there. Keeps it very, very sensible and tidy through there, but confident with his driving on the outside to protect that situation for himself. A little update on the lead because Matthew Joinson, who did start on the medium tire, bear in mind, has fallen about 4.5 seconds behind Dean van der Zandt, who is currently leading the race. The Jaguar, sponsored by Mobil 1 and Goodyear. He's going out to a good lead here. He's on the soft tire. We know how good this guy is when he gets in a clean bit of air and can run his own race. So he'll be consistent, and he's already going purple. Fastest time at the moment already set by him, a 2:08.30. Behind them, Dylan Scarborough. Matthew Joinson, excuse me, of the 777 car. He's got a lot of work to do, but this medium strategy of his might work out. We know that he's had a few, I'm not going to call them issues, but certainly mishaps in terms of strategy in the last few races. Goes purple in the 2nd sector. That's looking positive. He's going to start clawing his way back. As long as he can make up some good time through his fast stints on the soft tires, then he should be looking very, very strong for a good race finish here, despite a mistake he made at Degner 1 and lap 2. But behind him, Chops, our privateer, is keeping Matthew nice and honest, which we do like to see. The sounds here at Suzuka, especially in this part of the circuit as we go under the bridge, and that's the corresponding part of the track that goes above it. Should just go past now. We're going over the bridge now. So many sounds from so many directions. If you've ever had the chance to stand up on that bridge at that section of the track, which many, many haven't, you get sounds coming underneath you, above you, from left, from right. It is something else. But I tell you, these cars just sounding absolutely brilliant. And the Mercedes in particular has just got the most amazing sound to it. So on board now with Jeff Bruin. And speaking of amazing sounds, we're being told we're going to go for a bit of a hot lap around Suzuka with Jeff Bruin. So down the main straight we go. Very high speed section here. Cars will be getting up to 250 kilometers an hour. Hard braking zone here. They just want to tap the brakes, roll it through the corners, use the area of the car. Double apex corner there into the exit of turn 1. And now you're into the S's. Through the first S, back off a little bit, try and get the angle here. It's important to try and line this up here because you want to cut that little bit of green on the inside of the curb there to maximize and open up this corner. As you can see, you make one mistake through the S's and it does not line up. Now through Dunlop, another tricky corner. You've got to be very patient on the accelerator out of that corner. Jeff Bruin takes a little bit of a conservative line through there, and now here we go into Degner 1. And oh, it's he missed the apex there and had to get on the brakes. And looks like he's taken too much of the apex on Degner too, but nonetheless, the Degner's corner is very tricky to hook up correctly. Into the chicane we go of turn 11. That's looking much, much better. And he's got Dylan Scarborough ahead of him, of course. So Jeff, who went from 10th position on the grid all the way up to 6th, has dropped a couple of positions, mainly because he's on the medium tyre, I suspect. Now into one of the more famous corners, and the trickiest corner here, it is Spoon. It's basically a blind entry point. You've just got to absolutely get it right and then be very patient on the exit to get down on the power, because it's off camber and it's downhill. So if you get on the power too much, you will spin there, as I have unfortunately done many a time in my sim racing career. Down the back straight we go towards 130R. Hard left corner, lift off the throttle, turn it in. Car should have plenty of grip, which it does. And into the final braking zone. It is turn 16 and 17 in sector 4 here. Through he goes. Nice lap there, for a good lap there from Jeff Bruin. Excellent stuff. He's looking strong today, Jeff, but he just needs to keep the results going. And he needs to be brewing a result here for himself, because he did qualify quite far down the grid, sadly. And yeah, you never want to be that far down the grid when you know the potential of the car. We know the BMW is very, very quick. His teammate, obviously, Wade Rushton, who I am requesting us to get an update on. There we go. So Wade Rushton, who qualified in 4th position, was top of AM class, now finds himself back in the position that Jeff Bruin qualified in 10th position. But he's putting a lot of pressure on Chris White, and Chris White right now is having the race of his life. This is the best result he's had in a little while. I think he did very, very well out at Daytona. I'm going to check on the previous results, because I just want to make sure. We did see Chris White have a fantastic time out at some of the previous races. So yeah, Chris White got 3rd position in the AM class last time out, 9th overall. So currently doing very well to hold off Wade Rushton, who we know is very, very quick. There might be a bit of a tyre difference here between the two drivers. And no, both on the medium tyre at the moment. But nonetheless, doing a very, very good job. And oh, a little bit squiggly out of turn 11. That's certainly not ideal. Get some beautiful onboard shots looking back, following these this little battle pack that's evolved here between Monica Camilleri at the back there. And oh no, Spoon claims a victim. And that victim is gonna be Chris White. Oh dear, oh dear. Yep, some avoiding action there. Had to be taken by Troy Britnell, and unfortunately now finds himself, yeah, right at the back of the battle pack that he was originally leading. So Chris White, just a little bit of too much pressure. And crikey, he's, unfortunately, he's put it into the gravel at Spoon, which is really unfortunate. But that's good for Wade Rushton. On the medium tyre, he is going to be continuing to push ahead. Into the pits comes Richard Robinson. So at the moment, the only person we know to have pitted, other than Robbo, is actually Mad Rick. Now, Mad Rick, I think he's right at the back of the field at the moment, as his teammate Tim Pears. And there's a yellow flag at the moment. Who's that? Let's see. It's at the chicane there. It's not either of the Strike Race Check chaps. And it was, in fact, Mark Scarborough there. Went for an excursion at turn 16 and 17. That's certainly not ideal. Let's see if we can catch that on the instant replay. No, unfortunately, the replay cameras weren't quite quick enough on that one to catch it. As many jokes get made about our replay cameras, that is very tricky to actually catch what's going on sometimes. Jeff Bruin up into 7th spot, putting some pressure now on Dylan Scarborough. But this battle pack continues to evolve a little bit. A 3-way battle between 2 AM class drivers and the Pro-Am of Monica Camilleri. She'll be looking again to get through as fast as possible. We know that she's very, very quick. Seen some great performances from her in recent races. And she's doing quite well in the championship overall as well, actually. And she's going to need to put in a bit of a star show for the remainder of the season, but currently sitting in 5th spot. But she's actually only 18 points off 2nd place, so a few good finishes here, barring some good results from Matthew Joynson, Jeff Bruin and Aidan Sampson. And she could be right back in the season with a great finish in the inaugural Season 1 here for the GT3 Championship. Of course, we will be looking for Driver of the Day at the end of the day, but so far, Dean is just running away with it. He's miles out in front. And then we've got Matthew Joinson currently running in second position. And oh no! Commentator's curse. Oh, Matthew, I am so sorry. Commentator's curse strikes. He somehow, for the second time, manages to hold that MR 911 Porsche, demonstrating some excellent car control. But he's going to have dirty tires, and Sean Parker is right hot on his heels as they go through the last bits of the S's, up through Dunlop, and yeah. Wow, that was nearly a race-ending mistake there from Matthew Joinson, but into turn 1, he's just got onto the brakes a little bit too hard. The car's rotated a little bit more than he would have liked. So it's an interesting thing about driver style, because some drivers prefer to, you know, hit the brakes quite hard and induce a lot of slip angle on entry. Some prefer to try and use the release of the brakes to induce slip angle in the car. And oh, speaking of slip angle, there's a bit of oversteer on the exit of turn 11 for Matthew Joinson. It's very crazy. We're going to stay on board with this little shuffle here between these two, because the leader, in Dean van der Zaan, is now 9.5 seconds out in front, just racing his own race, racing away from these medium running cars. Dean is obviously on the soft tire, so just a heads up on that. It's not this time. It's not just because of raw speed. We do know that Matthew Joinson has got the pace in him, so once he switches onto the soft tire, I think we'll find that Matthew Joinson is absolutely rapid on track, because he's currently lapping about 2 seconds slower than his qualifying pace. So the medium tire is proving to be quite slow at Suzuka. You're looking at about 1.5 to 2 seconds slower per lap, which is quite significant. Now, speaking of strategy, we are 43 minutes away from the end of this race, so 16.5 minutes in. And I think the degradation for the medium tires is looking pretty good. They're going to easily be able to get to 30 minutes through this race. The real question is, do they want to do a one-stop or do a two-stop? Judging by the wear rate at the moment, you might, and I mean might, get to 40 minutes on the medium tire. However, they are almost at half fuel at the moment, and yeah, Sean Parker's looking even worse, so he'll almost certainly be doing a two-stopper. He's actually on the racing softs, so you can see after about 8-9 laps that we're on, 9th lap that we're on now, the racing softs have completely lost their edge. And that's not going to be good news for the soft runners going forward. That's going to make it very tricky. Matt Kutscher for Black Rose Racing. He is behind on the medium tire. About 3.5 seconds, well, no, about 4 seconds behind Chops at the moment. But again, running the medium tires and actually running very consistent, very good laps, 201s for the most part. And we do have now Aiden Sampson coming through with Dylan Scarborough right behind him. And then we've got Jeff Bruin. So this little battle pack is starting to heat up a little bit. Through goes Wade Russian. He's made a bit of a good recovery so far, Wade Russian has. Really good job so far. And then we've got Chris White running a little bit wide there on the exit, but still doing well. In 12th position, there's Richard Robinson. And we should see momentarily, there we go, there is the NED Racing Aston Martin reserve driver being brought in today, Mark Scarborough, up in the 13th position. And then we've got the two Strike Race Tech drivers holding out the back of the field at the moment. So just not having the success that they want, but they'll be happy knowing that they've got a new ecosystem to develop their drive again. And that will be the Scarborough Motorsport ecosystem. Strike Race Tech, unfortunately, making the decision to close down operations at the end of the GT3 season. And they'll be merging with their acquirers, who are Scarborough Motorsport. And yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for these two chaps, but they'll be happy to be involved with all the guys in the Scarborough Motorsport team environment. They're all good chaps. So you do see Aiden Sampson now, he's pitted. So has Chris White. So a few more of the medium runners deciding, okay, short stint on the mediums, and we're going to run 2 stints after this on the soft tire. The real question is, how far can they actually make these tires run? And I don't think you're going to be very surprised to say that not as far as you'd like. That's my guess. Oh, wide at Degner 1. Oh, Matt Kutch, that's a heart and mouth moment right there. Crikey, yeah. It's always a bit scary if you run wide there at the Degner 1 curve. Really just puts a shiver up your spine because you know how close you were to disaster. It's such a fast right-hander. But you're relying on that turn-in that you get. So if you get off the brakes at the wrong time, or you just don't have the grip, you are going to find yourself suddenly off. And that can be bloody scary. But a little bit of an action-packed battle going on here between Dylan Scarborough, the 22 car, and Jeff Bruin. So Jeff looking to make a bit of a comeback drive, both on the medium tire, and behind him his teammate Wade Rushton having a battle with Monica Camilleri. So two-person battle packs happening right now, and 40 minutes left to go in our endurance race. I've been told we've got a very fortunate to have a bit of onboard camera action going on now. So we will jump on for an onboard lap with Jeff Bruin once again in this race. Of course, behind him, Wade Rushton. He's got Monica Camilleri sitting pretty behind him. And she's having an okay race so far. 8th spot. She's not going to be super happy with that so far. But she's got, it's all to play for at the moment in this race. The strategies have not really evolved yet on track. And once they do, I think you'll find that some interesting things are going to happen. We've got some medium runners who have been left behind by their soft running counterparts at the start. And I think you'll find that those guys and girls who are running the mediums are suddenly going to get a heck of a lot faster towards the end of the race, which is going to be very exciting to see. Great views from our drone and onboard cameras. Our broadcast team doing a good job as always, trying to bring us all the best live shots. Of course, the MotorMotion E-Series, sponsored by Player1 Sim Gear, is what you're watching at the moment. The Group B broadcast with myself here in the commentary box. It's George Cooke, and yeah, we're having a great time so far at Suzuka. It is just beautiful out there. I tell you, I have a bit of sun glare in my commentary box, so it's hard to see the cars as they come past the pit lane. But honestly, still looking beautiful out there. Lovely, lovely day, and the fans look like they're having a great time in the grandstands as well. They've got the main grandstand 1 and 2 at the pit straight. We've got a few other grandstands around. It looks like Wade Rushton has picked up a penalty. He's just served it. And Monica Camilleri going for the switchback onto the inside. She will take that corner side by side with Wade Rushton. Oh, great driving from these two. Who's going to brake later into the chicane? Monica, she's got nowhere to go. Wade Rushton puts his car right in the middle of turn 16. Good job to hold off after serving a penalty. Well done by Wade Rushton. We do know Monica, she's known for her incredibly safe, sensible driving. And that was quite the move attempt, though. A side-by-side in 130 yards. Very, very brave thing to do. These two are going to be fighting for position all the way through. We know that Monica is probably the, I don't want to be rude to Wade here, but she's probably the more consistent driver of the two. Wade Rushton at the moment is absolutely rapid in his BMW M6. So it's Ned Whiskey versus Valvoline in terms of the sponsors here. BMW versus Aston Martin V12. Both great sounding cars, and both cars with obviously quite a lot of pace here today. So Wade's teammate in the 18 car is Jeff. He's fallen a little bit farther behind Dylan. Both of their tires really starting to drop off a cliff at the moment, as we do see a car off down at the turn 1 there. We will try and find out who that was. It was Mad Rick, so I think we've got an on board for that. Let's see if we can see what happens here as he goes into turn 1. He's just been overtaken, I think, by our race leader, and just puts it on the green stuff, and around he goes. Unfortunately, at turn 1, very easy to do that, sadly. But a good recovery from Madrick there to get himself back on the racing line and back out onto track. So the medium tires are about at half life for the Mercedes of Matt Kutscher, and we're getting towards half race distance. I think this is what they're aiming for at the end of the day. You want to be doing 30 minutes potentially on the mediums, and then 2 15-minute stints on the soft tire. We're going to see some alternatives to that. Some folks will be able to run the mediums a little bit longer. Those that can will definitely be able to run a single stint potentially. So there is a possibility still of a one-stop here at Suzuka today. I'm not convinced that anyone's brave enough to try it. Certainly not on tires like this. Well, that's the racing soft tire of Sean Parker, looking very dead. As you can see, he's just falling off the pace now. He's trying to extend all the way to half race distance. I'm not sure if that's the right move. Really, he could have done 2 stints here, but I think he's trying to do a half-half, get the racing softs to 30 minutes, maximize their usage, and then switch onto the mediums, and then go to the end with a full tank of fuel. Looks like based on his fuel, he will make it to half race distance. So, you know, with the pit stop being such a it's a long wait in the pit lane, this could actually work out really well for Sean Parker. We will see. Matthew Joynson, who started in the lead and started on the medium tires. He's 12.5 seconds behind the race leader now of Dean van der Zandt, who was probably inevitably going to get past him anyway, because Dean is running the soft tire, I believe. He's going to easily make it past half distance here. I think he's going to be trying to go for maybe 40 minutes on the mediums. That's going to be very interesting, because he'll have a 20-minute stint at the end that'll be very, very quick. Oh, he's a bit wide there through 130R, but well handled. And Dean van der Zandt has come into the pits. He's done with his racing soft tires. He'll be doing a one-stop as well. He'll fuel up, he'll get the medium tires on, and he'll go for the last 33 minutes straight. Question is, how much time can Matthew Joynson make up? With a fresh medium tire, Dean van der Zandt's going to be still pretty rapid. Though I have to say, Matthew Joynson doing some very good lap times here, considering the age of his medium tires. But that pit stop from Dean is probably going to trigger some strategy calls here from the Scarborough Motorsport pit lane. The engineers will be scrambling and talking to Matt over the radio, giving him some advice. So he's provisionally back up into the lead. And our previous leader, Dean van der Zandt, he is now going to be back in 4th position. So he's just staying above Jeff Bruin here. Jeff Bruin, who's right behind Dean van der Zandt now, actually. Of course, Jeff is going to have to go and do his pit stop. So it's not exactly like an on-track situation at this stage. But yeah, Dean, he's going to have to run long. He's got a full tank of fuel, medium tires. He's got all the potential in the world to win this race today. Essentially, what we've seen is Matthew Joynson and Dean van der Zandt do alternative strategies. Matthew Joynson started on the medium tire. Whoa! Dean van der Zandt not letting his tires warm up. A little bit less grip on these mediums. Got to be careful. But doing very well here. So Dean started on the soft tire. Now he's on the mediums for 31 minutes. The fact that he made the soft tire extend that long is very significant. But we've already seen 12 laps in this race. It'll be 14 by the time we get to halfway. I think if Matthew Joynson can do some really phenomenal lap times on the racing softs and not let the tire life fall off too much, he has the potential to catch up the 12 seconds that Dean has put up ahead of him. But it's going to be a bit of a battle, because he's going to have to get track position back from Dean van der Zandt at the end of his stint. So fastest lap at the moment goes to Dean van der Zandt. It's a 2-minute point flat, 0.830. It's a very respectable time, considering they're all going to be trying to save tires. And we do see Dylan Scarborough now into the pits. He's going to chuck away those mediums. likely put on a set of softs and go to the end of the race. I'm still wondering if we're going to see a two-stopper from anyone on the grid. It's what I was originally predicting as the optimal race strategy. A bit of damage being held by Chris White from an earlier incident. Madrick ahead of him by 0.3 of a second. These two will be battling it out for, yes, a lower position on the grid, but still nonetheless, exciting battle between these two, and wide goes Chris White. That damage, as you can see on the splitter, is affecting his ability to get aero. Yeah, I can tell you that aero loss from running the damage is going to be pretty significant, especially through 130R. Now, Richard Robertson's also picked up some damage. Front splitter, did we just have an incident from there? Because he's very slow on the straight. The 20 car just gets absolutely demolished on the straight by Mad Rick there. Nothing he can do about it whatsoever. So Mad Rick going back up into 11th spot for Strike Racetech. 10th position and damage as well. We've got 3 or 4 cars on the grid holding damage still from earlier incidents, including on debut and the reserve driver for NED Racing, Mark Scarborough. But seems to be having a pretty good day out so far. Qualified down the bottom of the grid. Now he's up in the 10th spot. Fresh Racing Mediums, a full tank of fuel as predicted for Dylan Scarborough. He will be going to the end. And then we've got the racing soft tires looking reasonably healthy for Aiden Sampson. But this is going to be a real stretch to get this to the end. I think Aiden Sampson's going to have to pit again. So into the pits. Oh no, and wide goes Aiden Sampson there. Oh man. That's going to really rough up those racing soft tires. Not ideal at all. We did see a few come into the pits. So we've got Wade Rushton. He's in the pits. Almost no fuel for him. Jeff Bruin into the pits at the 30-minute mark, or just under it. A whole bunch of pit stops going on. Sean Parker comes in. It's a fantastic stint from Sean Parker to extend with the Mercedes all the way. He's going to have a bit of a long pit stop to fuel up, but away he goes, and out he'll come. Now, this is going to be the real question. Where does he come out in relation to Dean van der Zandt? Dean is already through the S's. Monica is now behind them. She'll have to pit again. And Chops on the medium tire now. So this is getting very interesting because Matthew Jointson he's going to be miles behind. He's taken way too long on the medium tire. I don't think he trusts himself to get the soft tires all the way to the end, even with 28 minutes left. So he's trying to extend because he knows that he can be really, really fast on a fresh set of soft tires. And if he gets onto the soft tires towards the end of the race, he'll be absolutely rapid. But right now, he's losing a second per lap to the fresh tires of Dean van der Zandt. And that is just hurting his overall chances of getting back into the lead. So it's a bit of a trade-off, a tough trade-off there for Matthew Jointson. He's opted to stay out for nearly 33 minutes on those medium tires, and they're looking awfully worn right now. His fuel is also been used up quite significantly, so he's been short shifting, using the fuel maps. I suspect we will see him in this lap, actually, because if he loses too much more time, then he will just have absolutely no chance to get past Dean. No, he's going to go for another lap. So behind him, and as you can see, reasonably close now, coming through the chicane already. On the medium tires, it is Dean van der Zandt. Monica Camilleri is running on the smell of an oily rag at the moment in terms of her fuel. She'll be coming in this lap as well. So going for a similar idea to Matthew Jointson to try and stay out longer on the mediums. And she has, in fact, run out of fuel. So literally running it right to the absolute limit there. But thinking the same thing as Matthew Jointson. Run longer on the mediums, and then you can push more on the final soft stint at the end. And that could equate to some pretty significant time gains overall. And Sean Parker in second place. He's within the pit stop distance of Matthew Jointson at the moment. So he'll be stoked to know that Matthew Jointson, when he pits, will be behind him on track. And that is going to make for a very interesting race towards the end, because not only will Matthew Jointson have to overtake Sean Parker, he might also have to overtake Matt Kutscher. So we've got Matt Kutscher, Sean Parker, and Dean van der Zandt in second, third, and fourth, respectively, all on the medium tire to the end. And we've still got Matthew Jointson at the top of the grid, and he has still got to pit. But He'll be on very, very fast racing softs at the end. So he might be able to make some magic happen, but 3 overtakes on this track, that's going to be a bit of a tall order. So Matthew Joinson's going to have to really push those soft tires as far as he possibly can. And racing softs are the tire of choice to the end of the race for Jeff Bruin, so he's going to be rapid as well. So we're going to keep an eye on this because he's only 0.7 of a second, he's only 7 seconds behind Matt Kutscher. And those medium tires, while they will keep a decent pace, if Jeff Bruin here can put on some really good laps, low 201s towards the end of the race, through the rest of the race, I should say, then he might actually catch up Matt Kutscher, but so far, not looking quite likely, as we do see our current provisional race leader in PLE Black Friday for Dylan Scarborough's Scarborough Motorsport, the juiced liveried and JB Hi-Fi sponsored Porsche in the pits. It gets fuel, but through already goes Dean van der Zandt. He's in through turn 1. He's got a bit of blue flag traffic ahead of him. Strike Racetech Mercedes there out in front. Dylan Scarborough still in the pits. Chops coming through onto the pit straight now. Oh, has Matthew Joinson managed to get out ahead? Yes, he has. That is going to be music to the ears of Matthew Joinson. He has absolutely done brilliantly there. Just extended his stint just enough. Unfortunately for him, though, 19 seconds is the gap up to Dean van der Zandt. So he's got a lot of work to do in the remaining 12 laps or so of this race. That's going to be very interesting. We're going to keep an eye on that, as well as some of the other fights happening down the rest of the grid. Jeff doing well. His teammate Wade Rushton behind him. We've got Dylan Scarborough now in 7th position. So our lead AM drivers at the moment, in first place, back to first place, I should say, is actually Wade Rushton. So Wade has had a very, very interesting race. He's gone from 4th position to last, all the way back to 6th, and he's still leading the AM category. So that's a very, very strong weekend for him. Just shows how much pace he's got. Obviously that new livery counting for more than just a couple of tenths. I think it's been counting for about a second. Behind him, we've got a little bit of a battle going on between these two drivers. It's Dylan Scarborough and Monica Camilleri. So we'll keep an eye on this race for the next little while, because Monica is looking rapid. Medium tires on Dylan Scarborough, and we know that Monica Camilleri ran deep with the medium tires, so she'll be on very, very fast racing soft tires right now. Monica has to make something happen quickly. She does not want to be stuck in the dirty air of Dylan Scarborough, especially when he's running medium tires. Monica looking for a move there into Spoon. She's got so much more grip out of the corner, just slips through the out on the inside, and she'll have the run all the way up the back straight, down towards 130R. So great job there by Monica Camilleri with the speed in the straight line of the Porsche, just looking mighty. She will, of course, have the corner. No contact between the two, very clean driving from them, but Monica, she should have this in the bag now, going a little bit defensive, just to close the door, and through the next few corners, she'll make a gap on those beautiful new racing soft tires. So up in the 7th position goes Monica Camilleri. Behind them, Aiden Sampson on the racing soft tire. He's in 9th position at the moment, and he's in an absolute no man's land. No cars ahead of him, no cars behind him. And then the Jaguar F-Type of Chris White. He's still got his damage to deal with. Then Troy Britnell, he's on a medium run to the end. And then we've got Mad Rick. He's also on a bit of a charge. Now, he's lost out a couple of positions here. He qualified reasonably well, but unfortunately it's just dropped him back to 12th position. So not an ideal result at the moment. Can he make some stuff happen in the last 20 minutes of this race? It is entirely possible. Behind them for Diffusion Race Engineering, the Spotify-sponsored team, it is Richard Robinson of the 20 car. Racing softs to the end, that'll keep him fast. Behind him, mediums, our debutant Mark Scarborough. And then last but not least, it is Tim Pears on the medium tyre, on a personal best lap at the moment in the Mercedes AMG for Strike Racetech. But all eyes are still going to be on Dean van der Zandt. Now, the gap between Matthew Joinson and him was at 20 seconds. It's now at 16.3 seconds. So Matthew Joynson already made up in 2 laps, 4 seconds. He is on track right now to be right on the bumper of Dean van der Zandt at the end of this race. It could all come down to a last lap push between these two. Dean van der Zandt might be trying to save a bit of those tires, try and keep the life in them as much as possible and save some fuel for the end, but already down to 15 seconds. So Matthew Joynson on an absolute charge now. He's got great fresh tires. There's only 10 laps to go, so he can really push the car. As you can see, he was averaging 202s, maybe mid 202s on his medium stint. But now he's able to push, done a 2-minute .984. That is nearly equal to the fastest lap of this race. And I think we're going to stay on board with him and see if he's gotten, I was about to say going purple. And there we are. Goes purple in Sector 1. So Matthew Joynson is on a charge right now. Gap to the leader, 15 seconds. The gap behind in 3rd place, 10 seconds to Chops. Of course, Chops and Sean Parker and Matt Kutscher behind in 3rd and 4th respectively. They are both on the medium tire, so they won't be catching up to Matthew Joynson. So Matthew going absolutely hard. He's gone purple in Sector 2. They're only 0.4 of a second up, so this is a fantastic start to this last stint for him. And of course, you only have to go 20 minutes. You don't need a fuel save. You don't need to save the tires. You can just push to your heart's content, and 14.5 seconds is the gap now to the lead of this race. And we've been told we've got some onboard to give you from the cockpit of the 911 Porsche. Going through the back straight to 130R now. And he's 0.482. He's purple again. This is a qualifying speed lap here. Could this be a 59? We'll see at the checkered at the race finish line here, coming up in just a second. Very close. It's a 2-minute .184 in the race. Dean van der Zandt is going to be looking in his rear mirror and looking at the timing sheet and going, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. Because for Scarborough Motorsport, Pearly Black Friday is on an absolute charge right now. The gap is coming down rapidly between them. Very, very tidy lap there. Couple of laps in the 2 minutes. Flat, so if he keeps this pace, which he does need to, only 18 minutes left in this race, so all you really need to do is cut down about 2 seconds a lap at most, and he should be in striking distance of Dean van der Zandt with much faster tires. So looking back through the grid, we've got Sean Parker 3rd position, Matt Kutscher in 4th, and then Jeff Bruin. This beautiful, beautiful liveried Valvoline M6 GT3 car. It's the tribute livery to the BMW M1 Pro car. Oh, Jeff. No, commentator's curse there maybe a little bit. I was just mentioning before how it gives you a little bit of time per lap. Unfortunately for him, that's going to lose him a little bit of time per lap. But the Gridline Racing chaps running 5th and 6th in this race at the moment. Both, I believe, on the soft tire to the end. There's been a bit of a battle between Wade Rushton and Monica Camilleri in the past. So Monica is on the soft tires and she'll be rapid as well, looking to get up the grid. She's just had an overtake on Dylan Scarborough a little bit earlier in the race. But looking very spread out now is the field. There's not a lot of on-track battles going on. As you can see in the top left, the wind has come down just a little bit, but the direction remains the same. So the Degner corner is still very dangerous, but 130R and turn 1 very much at full grip, which is excellent. On a personal best is Wade Rushton. And slightly down on her time is Monica Camilleri. I do want to keep an eye on Monica because she decided to do a similar strategy to Matthew Joynson, who's currently hunting down Dean in 1st place. And so everyone ahead is going to be running on the soft tires for a lot longer than her. She'll be only doing about 24 minutes or so on the racing soft tires and setting good times at the moment. Good pace, a 201, a low 201. So that's very good pace, and the gap to Wade Rushing ahead, nearly under 4 seconds now. So she will be rapid towards the end of this race. The medium running Dylan Scarborough. He's got plenty of gap behind him. Nothing for him to worry about whatsoever. And purple again goes Matthew Joinson. He's just set a 2:06 on that last lap. But he's purple again on this lap. He is just flying. There's a bit of blue flag traffic there. I think that was Tim Pears in the Strike Racetech Mercedes. But these soft tires looking very healthy, but it's, you know, now the gap is under 10 seconds. It's actually only 8.5 seconds now. So Dean, he's slowing up a little bit here. He's only setting lap times in the 2:02s. So that's going to be a second a lap, easily slower than what, essentially 2 seconds a lap, sorry, slower per lap, which is the rate that Matthew Joinson needs to close. 15 minutes to go, so we've got about 7 laps. 59 is entirely possible here if Matthew Joinson can put it all together. But look at the gap now. It's come down to 7.3 seconds. Let's see what kind of lap time he's setting on this amazing lap that he's just done. Will he go purple again? Could be. Oh, and it's a 59 in the race. Oh, Matthew Joinson pulling out all the stops here at the end of the stint. It is a 159.723. No one is going to match that for the rest of the race unless he decides to go even faster. It's entirely possible. He's using up all of those tires. The gap now is only 6.8 seconds. If we look in the rear vision mirror of Dean van der Zandt, you might just catch a clip of the yellow Scarborough Motorsport Porsche in the distance now. So this is gonna heat up because there's 14 minutes left in this race. And looks like the medium strategy at the end was not optimal because the speed of the soft tires right at the end is absolutely crazy. There he is. We can in fact see him in the distance now. 6 seconds the gap. We're going to keep an eye on this battle because this is going to be for the lead and victory at Suzuka in round 8. This could have a big impact on the championship overall. Matthew Joinson, who we're on board with right now, he's currently 3rd in the championship, but he's only about 2 points, or 4 points I should say, behind Jeff Bruin, who's currently running in 5th position. So this will jump him back up into 2nd position in the championship and net him a whole bunch of points. And Dean will extend his lead in the championship, but the gap will close in the Drivers' Championship for Pro-Am. And that could be a massive, massive swing of the wind in terms of the situation here in the Pro-Am category. Not setting the best lap times right now. He's a little bit down on his lap, but the gap is going to come down regardless because even 0.3 down on his lap is still a 2-minute lap flat. Now the gap is only 5 seconds. And there he is in the rear vision mirror. Dean is going to be starting to sweat a little bit. He's saved his tires really well. I do wonder if Dean has been tactically using this gap, letting it drop down. He wants Dylan to push as hard as possible to waste those tires. The last 12 minutes of this lap could be very, very difficult for Dylan. And it might just start to balance out. That's why we're going to keep a very close eye on this race for 1st position, because Dean, if he can make these tires do 2:01s at the end of this race, which we know is possible for this caliber of driver, that could be enough, just enough to hold off the wearing tires that that Matthew Joinson will inevitably have towards the end of this race, and holding maybe a little bit too much fuel as well, unfortunately. But the Porsche is actually quite good for that. It's good at short shifting. The power band's about 70% or 80% of the gear. But these laps are rapid. The tire life looking okay for Matthew Joinson at the moment too. And look how close it is now. 3.5 seconds is the gap. Dean has got to start putting in some faster lap times if he's got any hope of holding off Dean van der Zandt in this race. Behind them, we've got Jeff Bruin, who there's a little bit of a battle going up here for 3rd position. So yes, there's all this action going on for 1st position, but we forget to mention there's actually 2 Mercedes AMG cars here fighting it out for 3rd position. Currently occupied the podium slot, the last podium slot, is Sean Parker, our privateer. But behind him, Matt Kutscher for Black Rose Racing. And he's thinking, well, I want to get past this privateer because this privateer isn't in the team championship. He's only driving for himself. But I want these points for Black Rose Racing. So gimme, gimme, gimme. So I suspect this battle will heat up as well. And Tim Piers pulling over there, making sure to let through the faster drivers around him. Good job there from Tim Piers. My hat's off to anyone who executes a good blue flag maneuver there. So well done to Tim Piers. He's been doing a great job to stay out of the way of all the action on track. So my hat's off to him. Well done. So just looking around the grid very quickly to make sure we understand where everyone's at. Tim Piers in last place at the moment, followed by Chris White in the 14th position. And then slipping back a little bit, it is unfortunately Mark Scarborough there. He's on the medium tyres, just not serving him very well towards the end of the race. Then we've got Richard Robinson for Diffusion Race Engineering, Mad Rick for Strike Race Tech, back up into 11th spot, and putting a lot of pressure now onto the back of Troy Britnell. So this Pro-Am driver not wanting to be stuck behind any of the AM category drivers this time. Both in the Mercedes AMG, and Troy Britnell is running the medium tyre. So almost certainly it's going to be a top 10 finish for Mad Rick. So we've got Aiden Sampson now in 9th position, doing well on the racing soft tyres, and then Dylan Scarborough on the mediums. This is another one to watch because the gap to Hellblazer, that's Aiden Sampson, is only 2.9 seconds. Monica Camilleri, then we got Wade Rushton and Jeff Bruin. But this is where the action is at, and look at it, we are now down underneath 1 second. 0.5 is the gap. Matthew Joynson is looking absolutely rapid here. He is almost certainly going to get past, and he's gone purple again. Somebody stop me. I mean, just kidding, but wow, this is impressive stuff from Matthew Joynson. He does the move on the outside of turn 16 into turn 17. He'd have the inside. Oh, and he gets the move done. What a move there for the lead of this race from Matthew Joynson, and powers away down the straight. Nothing Dean van der Zandt can do at all about that. So after making a mistake early on in the championship race here, what a move. So through 130R, he had the run. He knew he was going to have to take the outside. Dean runs onto the grass and opens up the opportunity for an overtake in turn 16. What a move there from Matthew Joynson. Top stuff from the Scarborough Motorsport driver. So into the lead is Matthew Joynson. 8 minutes remaining in this race. It's all but sealed, the deal. Dean van der Zandt behind him, not able to make up those decent lap times, running in the medium 2-minute 02s there. So just not able to keep up with the pace that Matthew Joynson has been showing. What an incredible little move that was. Absolutely brilliant. So the battle also heating up between Chops and Matt Kutscher. But what a move we had there. Absolutely brilliant stuff from Matthew Joynson. Just looking around the grid here, trying to find the battle that is Dylan Scarborough versus Aiden Sampson. And Aiden Sampson has gotten the inside there. We're actually going to able to take a little replay there, because on the attack back is Dylan Scarborough. He wants that position back. Not able to find a way back around Aiden Sampson, who is running the soft tyre. So that's probably all she wrote there for Dylan Scarborough, who drops down into 9th position. Taking a quick look at our action replay here. Dylan Scarborough tries to go in, but goes very, very wide into turn 1, runs on the gravel. Unfortunately, that has just allowed Aiden Sampson to go right on through. Tries for the cutback, but the gate is closed solidly in his face. So the gap between Sean Parker now and Matt Kutscher is opening up. And in fact, Matt Kutscher is now actually at more risk of being overtaken by Jeff Bruin behind him. So Jeff, on an absolute push lap in the 18 car, he's on the soft tires, so the medium tires for all the competitors, starting to bite them at the end of this race, and he goes very wide at turn 16. Jeff's going to have the run on him down the straight here in the BMW for Gridline Racing. This is potentially for 4th position. There's 6 minutes left in this race. And that means that chops ahead. Sean Parker, our privateer, could be in danger of being overtaken by by Jeff Bruin, who goes for the inside move there, but gets run onto the grass. So not able to make it stick at all, but he'll have another opportunity through here. Through the S's they go. 0.2 is the gap. Some great little battles evolving at the end of this race. Staying on board here, I do see some more battles going on around the grid, so we've got to make sure we jump over to those as soon as possible. But Matt Kuchar holding on for dear life at the moment. From Jeff Bruin. Will Jeff be able to make it happen? Let's see. You can see the wear on the medium tires towards the end of the race. Lacking a lot of grip, and that's just, you know, even the soft tires with the lack of grip they're going to have at this stage of the race. That is absolutely very tricky for the medium tires. You can see squiggly under brakes as well. It's just no grip left in them whatsoever. The gap is remaining rather stable at the moment, but he might have the run here through down to 130R, does Jeff? Let's see. We go on board for some beautiful shots on board with the Gridline Racing driver. Not able to make the move happen, unfortunately for him. Some action happening on track between three drivers. So it is Ricky Rick, Mad Rick, Troy Britnell, and Richard Robertson all having a bit of a scrap. We've got a little bit of action replay here. Some good driving between these three. So that's Troy Britnell up in the front, and it looks like Robert Robertson is going to take a move down into turn 11. Good move on the inside, and Ricky Rick wants a little bit of piece of the action, touches the tail of Troy Britnell, but doesn't manage to slip on by. So these three having a bit of a battle as well towards the end of the race. Matt Kuchar, though, under a lot of pressure now from Jeff Bruin, who really needs to make his way past this car. If he's got any hope, it's potentially a podium for him. If he can just get past Matt Kuchar, tries the dive. Oh, there's contact there. There's contact and redress. Jeff knows he's done a bad. Redresses the position immediately. Chances are that's the last opportunity you might have to get up into third position, because Sean Parker there, with this battle going on, Sean Parker is just being let off the lead at the moment. It's just being allowed to drive off into the distance. And speaking of driving off into the distance, our race leader at the moment is Matthew Joynson. Barring any mistakes, again, touch wood. I don't want to give him a commentator's curse at the end of the race, but he's 7 seconds clear of Dean van der Zandt behind him. The medium strategy at the end not working out for Dean at all. Sad to say, but at the moment in the podium positions is Sean Parker as well. Class leader at the moment is Wade Rushton, doing very well. Monica Camilleri behind him in 7th position, followed by Aidan Sampson. And I believe the next of the Class runners is actually Dylan Scarborough down in 9th position. We'll have to take a look on board with him at some point soon, but a good drive out of turn 17 for Jeff Bruin. He's going to give him the run all the way down the pit straight in the slipstream of the Black Rose Racing Mercedes. He's going to be able to pull a move. Out to the inside he goes. He's got the overspeed, and he's got the inside line into turn 1. Yeah, through he goes. Much more grip there for Jeff Bruin. Takes a bit of a shallow line. This could be a cutback here from Matt Kuchar, but there's no room to do it, and gets squiggly. Tries to put the power down a little bit too much. So their 4-second gap now for Jeff Bruin up into 3rd position. There's only 2 laps to go in this race. It might just be 2 laps. 60 minutes will elapse in about 1.5 minutes here, chaps. For everyone in the grandstand, hope you've been enjoying. Do give me in chat your driver of the day. I would love to hear your opinions on driver of the day, as we will discuss that after the race. But a fantastic job here from the top 3, and Sean Parker is probably just going to be able to hang on. He's going to be desperate keen to not have to go and do another lap So he might need to tactically not cross the line after the checkered flag waves. Because I think Jeff might just catch that checkered flag as it comes out after 60 minutes elapses, which is in about 50 seconds. And it looks like for for Matthew Jointson, he is going to have to do one more lap. And those racing soft tires looking rather dead. So a nice calm lap. Take it nice and easy in the 777 car. You've got the win in the bag. You just need to go across the line and take it. Across the line for one more lap, Dean van der Zandt. Through 130R goes Chops. He is gonna do he's gonna do one more lap here, I believe. But Jeff Bruin, he's just not making up any time. The racing softs are just very, very dead. And he's running very low on fuel as well. And might be why he's decided to back off a little bit and not challenge Sean Parker for the lead. Unfortunately for him, he's gonna have to do another lap. I think he thought that he was going to be able to get away with not. Matt Kutscher behind him takes 5th position. So Jeff should be all good. He just needs to bring it home at the end of the day. So Matt Kutscher, 5th position, takes the flag. Wade Rushton, our lead AM class driver. So congratulations to Wade Rushton. He wins AM class once again. That's 2 in a row for Wade Rushton of Gridline Racing. Behind them, Aiden Sampson on his final lap, coming across the line now. Good job from Aiden. And then 2nd position in AM class goes to Dylan Scarborough. Congratulations to him. That'll put Robo Sport. That'll put him for Diffusion Race Engineering in 3rd position for the AM category. And behind them, another few more AM drivers. We will look at the full result set momentarily, but all eyes right now are on PLE Black Friday. That's Matthew Jointson for Scarborough Motorsport through 130R for the last time in this race. It's been a dominating drive from him. He's made a mistake early on to give Dean van der Zandt the lead, but his overall pace has been absolutely unstoppable this race. And for that reason, through turn 16, turn 17, and across the line he goes with the windshield wipers on for no reason whatsoever other than to celebrate. It is Matthew Jointson who takes victory here at Suzuka for round 8. Congratulations to him. That is a mega drive from the Porsche driver. He'll be absolutely stoked with his pace. He'll also take home fastest lap of the day. So Dean van der Zandt comes across the line, 13 seconds behind Matthew Jointson, but a strong 2nd place position there for Dean van der Zandt. Behind them, Chops has managed to keep position, so he'll take the last podium position, 3rd place for Sean Parker. He's back up into the top 3, eager to go for the last 2 races of the season. And then, of course, Jeff Bruin, a good result from him. 4th position, and across the line we go. Wow, what a absolutely stonking race we've just had, folks. Brilliant, brilliant stuff from all of our participants. And a big shout out to our top 3. And of course, our winners in AM class as well, who are Wade Rushton taking home victory in AM class, and Matthew Jointson taking home victory in the Pro-Am class with a best lap and fastest lap of the race, a 1:59.723. That is super impressive. So congratulations to all the participants. Wow, crikey, what a 60 minutes. Suzuka has been action-packed, lots of different strategies at play today, and that has created one of the most amazing races that we've had this whole season. Of course, we are in the 8th round, and 2 races to go only, round 8, round 9, and round 10 to go in this amazing season. So in the chat, do let me know who your driver of the day is. Keen to hear. Already got a driver of the day vote for Black Friday or Wade Rushton. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's been such a dominating performance. It's a perfect weekend for Matthew Jointson, and I don't think we can take anything away from what was an amazing drive from him all weekend round. He qualified 1st position in the low 59s, and he's got fastest lap, and he's won the race. So my driver of the day today is going to go to PLE Black Friday, Matthew Jointson in the 911 RSR for Scarborough Motorsport. Congratulations, Matthew. What a round you've had today. It's been absolutely spectacular. And of course, some honorable mentions being Dean van der Zandt and Sean Parker. Great job from them. We got Jeff Bruin in 4th position, Matt Kutscher in 5th, and Wade Rushton. A big shout out to him for winning the AM class race once again. big congratulations for the GLR driver. Then we've got Monica Camilleri in 7th position, Aidan Sampson in 8th. We've got Dylan Scarborough in 9th position, Ricky Rick, one of his best results of the season, in 10th position in the Strike Racing Mercedes, and Richard Robinson in 11th spot. Then Troy Britnell in the Black Rose Racing Mercedes, followed by our debutant and replacement for Karma Foster, Mark Scarborough. Congratulations on debut, mate. You've done very, very well. Done NED Racing very proud. In 14th position, Chris White, the WTCR. And last but not least, it is Tim Pears and the Mercedes AMG. I want to give a shout out to all of the drivers who have been lapped in this race. You've all done your blue flag duties incredibly well. So congratulations to you all. Doesn't matter where you finish. You're all aces in this commentator's book. So that is going to be our qualifying today and race today. So round 8 has been absolutely spectacular here at Suzuka. We're going to round it out with a little bit of information about what's coming up next in the championship, because we've got 2 rounds left only, and they are 2 absolutely banger rounds that you're not going to want to miss. So make sure you tune in. In 2 weeks, on the 27th of June, for round 9, we're staying in Japan. We're going to the Autopolis International Racing Circuit for racing hard tires at a lovely, lovely Autopolis race course. It's going to be a very intense race, so make sure you tune in for that. And then, of course, on the 11th of July for round 10, it is none other than Mount Panorama. We're going to Bathurst for the final round of the season, so stay tuned, folks. It's going to be an absolutely amazing end to the season, so tune in then. We've also got the TCR Cup, sponsored by Track Racer, coming up next week, so stay tuned for more information about that. If you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast, please make sure you give a like and subscribe, and check us out on the MotorMotion E-Series website, www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. And of course, a big, big shout out to our Player1 Sim Gear sponsors, of course, for the amazing rewards and some sim racing gloves that they are providing for all of our champions at the end of the season. And of course, they are proudly sponsoring the MotorMotion E-Series GT3 Championship in our inaugural season. And what a season it has been so far. Looking forward to more. But here from the commentary box, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the grandstand and being nice and vocal. Really appreciate it. But signing out from the commentary box, it is myself, George Cooke, for the Group B lobby. Take care, stay safe. We will see you next time, and we will catch you at the next race. Good night, good evening, and goodbye.